Imagine a disruptive tech startup. Like, you know the archetype, right?
So absolutely. A couple of unknown founders in a garage somewhere.
Exactly. Just completely bypassing all the traditional industry gatekeepers.
Right. No putting on suits or pitching to venture capitalists in sterile boardrooms.
Right. Instead, they just build a product, drop it onto the internet for free, and let the users find it themselves.
And then they build this massive, organic, rabid user base totally in the dark.
Yeah. And by the time the corporate world even realizes what's happening, the startup already holds all the cards.
Yeah.
Like the venture capitalists are no longer evaluating them.
The startup is evaluating the venture capitalists. It's the ultimate modern power move.
He really is.
You manufacture your own leverage in the wild before you ever even sit down at the negotiating table.
Well, that exact Silicon Valley blueprint is the hidden origin story of one of the most polarizing, bizarre, and just utterly fascinating music releases of the 2010s.
Oh, for sure.
So welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are digging into the Wikipedia archives for the debut album by the South African rap rave group Die Antwoord.
Such a wild story.
It really is. And the album is called SOS, but it's stylized with $signs, so, you know, SOS.
Oh, right.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at exactly how a completely free, independent internet drop forced the traditional music industry to just completely alter its rulebook.
Which was not a small feat.
No, not at all. And to really grasp the gravity of this, you, like the listener, have to mentally transport yourself back to the years 2008 and 2009.
Because that's when this album was actually being recorded.
Exactly. So what did the music industry landscape actually look like back then for an unknown group from Cape Town?
Well, it was a wildly different ecosystem than the one we have today.
Right. Like Spotify wasn't really a thing.
No, Spotify was in its absolute infancy. It was largely unavailable to most people. The industry was still desperately clinging to the final gasps of the CD era.
Oh, man, the CD era.
Right. And what we would call gate-kept digital sales, meaning Apple's iTunes essentially had a near monopoly on digital music consumption.
So if you wanted to make it, you had to play their game.
Exactly. The established path was heavily reliant on A&R executives at record labels discovering you, funding your album, and literally placing your CDs in big box retail stores.
Right.
So giving an entire fully produced studio album away for free as a direct download on your personal website,
Yeah.
that wasn't just seen as some rebellious indie move. It was considered commercial suicide.
Because there was literally no built-in monetization structure.
Not at all.
Like, there were no streaming fractions of a penny rolling in every time someone hit play.
Precisely. Die Antwoord was betting their entire artistic existence on the frictionless spread of digital information. They just bypassed the iTunes walled garden entirely.
They just skipped it.
Yeah, they essentially said, we are going to stream this for free on our site and let the internet do the work.
And man, the internet responded.
Oh, it really did. But what's fascinating here is how the critical inflection point arrived. It was with their music videos.
Right, the visuals were a huge part of it.
Absolutely. They released a video for a track called Wat Pomp in June of 2009.
Okay.
But the absolute catalyst, the moment the algorithm truly caught fire, was a track called Enter the Ninja.
Oh, I remember when that video started making the rounds.
It was inescapable.
It was visually arresting, incredibly abrasive, and musically, it was this jarring matchup of alternative hip-hop, electronica, and like 90s rave culture.
Yeah, completely bizarre, but you couldn't look away.
But I have to ask, how does a crazy music video actually translate to industry power in 2010?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because today, a song blows up on TikTok and it automatically hits the Billboard charts because streams count toward the charts.
Right.
But back then, there was a massive wall between watching a YouTube video and actually registering as a commercial success.
And that is the mechanical hurdle that makes this story so pioneering. To chart in 2010, you couldn't just have internet views.
You needed actual sales.
Exactly. You needed people to actively bridge the gap from a free video platform to a literal point of purchase.
Which is so much friction for a consumer.
It's a ton of friction. But Enter the Ninja gained such massive, rabid viral exposure on video hosting platforms that it actually forced its way into traditional metrics long before the album even had a physical release.
Right, really?
Yeah. By September 2010, that track debuted at number 37 on the UK music charts.
That is staggering.
It's wild.
Because to hit the top 40 in the UK back then usually required a massive PR machine, radio payola, physical single distribution across record shops.
Right, all the traditional infrastructure.
Yeah, it was virtually unheard of for an indie viral video from South Africa to jump the moat into the UK top 40 completely unassisted by a major label.
Unheard of. It proved definitively to the corporate world that the internet had permanently shifted the balance of power. I mean, the artists and their immediate audience were now dictating the market.
But wait, I have to challenge that narrative a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
If Die Antwoord had successfully built this massive user base, and they were already charting in the UK on their own,
Yeah.
why did they need the corporate world at all? Why sign a major label deal with Interscope Records?
That's a fair point.
If you have all the power and all the leverage, why not just stay independent and keep all the profits?
Well, because in 2010, the ceiling for independent distribution was still remarkably low.
Oh, okay.
The internet could give you global awareness, sure, but it couldn't put a physical CD on a shelf in a Best Buy in Ohio.
Right, you still needed physical objects.
Exactly. And it couldn't get you onto mainstream American radio. The infrastructure of global distribution still belonged to the major labels.
So they hit a wall.
They recognized they had hit the ceiling of what a free website download could achieve. They needed a global machine.
That makes sense.
But crucially, because of the internet leverage they had built, they didn't go to Interscope begging for a deal.
Interscope came to them.
Interscope came to them, chasing a phenomenon that was already profitable.
I imagine the label executives were terrified of this being a novelty act, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, think about the era. The internet was famous for one-hit wonders. The Numa Numa guy, the Chocolate Rain guy. If you're Interscope, how do you know you aren't just signing a meme?
Well, Die Antwoord anticipated that exact skepticism. If you look at the timeline in the source material, they didn't just drop Enter the Ninja and sit back waiting for a check.
They kept moving.
Right. While the major labels were circling, they were aggressively and strategically releasing subsequent promotional singles. Tracks like Fish Paste and Beat Boy.
And Beat Boy is a massive piece of evidence that they weren't just a flash in the pan.
Oh, for sure.
I was looking at the original website release, and that track is an 8-minute and 20-second epic.
It's massive.
You don't record an 8-minute, sprawling, experimental electronic track if you were just trying to capitalize on a quick YouTube joke.
No, not at all.
You release that to prove you have immense musical depth and a deep catalog. They were basically forcing the industry to recognize them as structural artists, not internet accidents.
And, I mean, that strategy worked. Interscope signed them, setting up a massive global release for SOS.
Okay.
But this introduces the central friction of our deep dive. What functionally happens when a raw, hyper-local, internet viral sensation collides with an American corporate music machine?
It's a massive collision. Because the Interscope release of SOS is not the same album that was floating around the internet for free in 2009.
Not even close.
So what did the label actually do to the product?
They essentially took a scalpel to it. If you look at the data for the original digital release...
The one they put out themselves.
Right. It was a sprawling 18-track behemoth. It clocked in at exactly 68 minutes and 3 seconds.
Wow.
And it was heavily, unapologetically rooted in South African culture.
Like a lot of local references.
Exactly. It featured deep-cut local collaborations with artists like Jack Parow, and even a feature from the South African rock band Fuck Off Policia Car.
Okay, yeah.
It was loaded with skits and aggressively local slang.
So it was this unfiltered cultural export.
Very unfiltered.
But when Interscope releases the American physical version on CD, that 18-track album gets gutted down to just 10 tracks.
Almost half the album is gone.
The skits vanish.
Yeah.
The hyper-local features are largely minimized or erased from the main track list.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, is that just classic corporate dilution? A label stepping in and saying, you know, this is too weird for middle America, tone it down.
It's easy to view it as corporate censorship, sure, but functionally it was an act of international translation.
Translation.
Yeah. Interscope realized that what made Die Antwoord viral globally wasn't their nuanced South African linguistic jokes.
Because no one outside South Africa got them anyway.
Right. A teenager in the American Midwest wouldn't understand those references. The virality came from their visual aesthetic and their aggressive rave-rap sonic profile. So by excising the hyper-local in-jokes, Interscope wasn't necessarily diluting the weirdness. They were concentrating it into a format that a global audience could actually digest without needing a South African cultural dictionary.
Okay, that makes sense from a commercial standpoint.
Yeah.
Cut the fat, focus the sonic impact.
Exactly.
But Interscope didn't just subtract tracks, right?
Right.
They also added new elements to bridge that cultural gap.
They did. The most critical addition on the major label re-release was a track called Evil Boy.
Okay.
Interscope brought in the superstar American producer Diplo to produce it.
Oh, wow.
Now, in 2010, Diplo was the ultimate sonic ambassador. He had built his entire career taking global underground club sounds.
Like Brazilian favela funk.
Yes, exactly, and formatting them for mainstream Western festival consumption. He was the perfect mechanism to take Die Antwoord's abrasive rave sound and polish it just enough to work in an American club.
That's a huge move.
It was. They even shot a dedicated promotional video for Evil Boy in October 2010 to really drive this new polished sound home.
So Diplo was like the spoonful of sugar to help the South African rave rap go down.
Basically, yeah.
But I refuse to believe Die Antwoord just happily handed over their 18-track indie masterpiece and let Interscope chop it up without a fight.
Well,
Because when you look closely at the release details, there is this fascinating mechanical rebellion happening in the track lists.
oh, you mean the hidden stuff?
Yeah. It's like they were actively fighting the corporate packaging.
How so? What stands out to you for the listener?
Well, look at the American physical CD release. As you said, the label mandated a type 10-track album for retail shelves.
Right, keep it simple.
So track 10, the final song on the CD, is a track called Doosdronk.
Okay.
But if you look at the runtime, that final track runs for 12 minutes and 52 seconds.
Which is absurdly long for a standard electronic rap closer.
Because it isn't actually a 12-minute song. Starting at the 8-minute and 52-second mark of that track, there's a hidden song.
Sneaky.
It is the track SOS, the namesake of the entire album.
Yeah.
They buried their own title track under nearly 9 minutes of silence at the end of a CD. The label says, we're cutting this down to 10 tracks, and the band says, fine, we will comply, but we are smuggling our weirdness onto the disc in a 12-minute audio file.
It's just a brilliant subversion of the physical medium, and that structural chaos, it bled over into the digital realm as well.
How so?
Well, when Interscope put the album on iTunes, they had to figure out how to monetize the digital space differently than the physical CD space.
Right, because you can't really hide a track inside a 12-minute file on iTunes in the same way. People just buy the individual songs.
Exactly. So Interscope unhid SOS and listed it clearly as track 11.
Okay.
But then they started fracturing the album into a multiverse of track lists.
A multiverse.
Yeah, they added bonus tracks to the digital version, bringing back early cuts like the original Wop Pomp and Dagapuff.
Oh, so they brought the old stuff back.
They did. They even included an alternate, highly aggressive version of Diplo's Evil Boy, provocatively titled the FU in the Face Mix,
Wow.
which was noticeably absent from the physical CD you would buy at a big box store.
I mean, it is a complete structural mess.
Totally.
Depending on whether you downloaded it from their site in 2009, bought the CD at a retailer in America, or purchased the iTunes Deluxe Edition, you were consuming a fundamentally different piece of art.
A completely different experience.
And honestly, that tracklist chaos perfectly mirrors how the public and the critics ultimately tried and totally failed to categorize what they were hearing.
Oh, absolutely. The reception of this album is one of the most fascinating case studies in genre defiance.
Right.
When you mash up alternative hip-hop, rave culture, electronica, local South African slang, and slick Diplo production.
Well, what even is that?
Exactly. The traditional metric systems simply do not possess the vocabulary to process you.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I want to look at the album spread across the 2010 Billboard charts.
Oh, the charts are hilarious for this.
Because it essentially functions as a Rorschach test for the music industry. You look at the ink blot and you see whatever genre you want to see.
Right.
Overall, the album peaked at number 109 on the mainstream U.S. Billboard 200.
Which is solid.
For a debut from a completely unknown South African group, that is incredibly respectable. But when you look at the specialized genre charts, the algorithm completely shorts out.
The spread is unprecedented. Simultaneously, the album charted at number 4 in top dance electronic albums.
Okay, makes sense.
It hit number 1 on the Heat Seekers albums chart, which tracks developing acts.
Sure.
And inexplicably, it also hit number 14 in top rap albums.
How does an album functionally operate as a top 5 dance record and a top 15 rap record at the exact same time in 2010?
It doesn't, usually.
The industry rubrics were built to keep those lanes totally separate. And because the algorithms didn't know how to classify it, the human critics completely lost their minds trying to review it.
We really struggled.
The album currently holds a Metacritic score of 69 out of 100.
Okay.
Now, on paper, A 69 suggests a perfectly average, middle-of-the-road album. But that number is a mathematical illusion hiding extreme polarization.
Yeah, averages often obscure the most interesting data points. So who was on the high end of that spectrum?
Well, the legendary music critic Robert Christgau.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he gave the album A-. Christgau is notoriously difficult to please, and he looked at this chaotic, abrasive rap-rave project and essentially called it brilliant.
That's huge praise.
But then you swing to the major independent arbiters of taste at the time. Pitchfork Media, arguably the most influential indie music voice of 2010, gave it a 5.5 out of 10.
Ouch.
And the UK tastemakers at NME gave it a 5 out of 10. They essentially failed the album.
So you have a critical establishment entirely at odds with itself.
Completely.
You have critics assigning A-minuses right next to 5s. You have chart computers classifying it as rap and dance simultaneously.
Right.
What this data tells us is that Die Antwoord didn't just fail to fit into a genre. They were actively rejecting the concept of genre altogether.
It is like serving a food critic. A rubber tire covered in incredible buttercream frosting.
What a visual.
The critic doesn't know whether to review it as a terrible cake or an amazing automotive part. They literally lack the framework to evaluate it.
And when a piece of art forces a listener to confront something with absolutely no clear precedent, there is very rarely a middle ground.
No.
People either hail the unprecedented as genius, or they dismiss it as obnoxious noise. Breaking the rubrics is the ultimate marker of a truly disruptive creation.
And that brings us to the most crucial piece of information in our source material today.
Oh, this is the best part.
This is the detail that completely recontextualizes everything we've discussed. It turns this entire story on its head.
The revelation of the master plan.
A Trojan Horse.
Yes.
We started this deep dive talking about a tech startup. We talked about a viral explosion, a crazy YouTube video, a free internet download.
Right.
It all feels like this incredible stroke of organic luck, the kind of lightning in a bottle that the internet occasionally blesses a weird artist with.
It seems so spontaneous.
But in an interview cited in the Wikipedia sources, the group's frontman, Ninja, revealed that he considered SOS to be merely the first step in a meticulously mapped out 5-album plan.
And that single quote changes the entire mechanical reality of Die Antwoord's rise to fame.
It really does.
Yeah.
If you are an independent artist from Cape Town and you are planning a 5-album narrative arc before you even have a record deal.
Before you even have a single fan.
Exactly. You are not just a musician hoping to get famous. You are operating like a comic book writer or a Marvel movie architect.
It means the virality was engineered.
Yes.
The chaotic elements, the free release, the bizarre and visually abrasive music videos, the hidden tracks buried in 12-minute audio files, the aggressive pushback against genre classifications. I mean, none of that was accidental.
It was a deliberate structural performance.
Completely deliberate.
That is why I call it a Trojan Horse. The shocking, weird Enter the Ninja YouTube video was just the wooden horse.
Right.
It was designed specifically to bypass the gates of public attention and corporate gatekeeping. They knew it was weird enough to go viral.
And once
the internet pulled the horse inside the city walls, the doors opened and outpoured a 5-album, highly calculated artistic invasion.
they weren't reacting to the industry.
No, they had already written the script for how the industry was going to react to them.
It is just a stunning reframing of what it means to be an internet artist. They didn't just use the internet as a distribution tool.
What did they do?
They used the mechanics of internet virality itself as their artistic medium.
Yeah.
They manipulated the system.
Which is genuinely mind-blowing when you zoom out and look at the whole picture.
It really is.
We started with an 18-track, 68-minute free digital download floating around a personal website in 2009.
Right.
We watched that download a viral phenomenon, completely bypassing the traditional gatekeepers of iTunes and physical CDs.
Yeah.
We saw them build enough leverage to force Interscope Records to the table and then watch them navigate the corporate restructuring of their art.
Employing superstar producers like Diplo to translate their sound.
While simultaneously hiding their title track in 12-minute files to keep their rebellious edge intact.
Incredible.
We watched them break the Billboard algorithms, tear the critical establishment right down the middle, and eventually reveal that we were all just unwitting participants in the first act of a master plan narrative.
It is the definitive case study of 2010's internet culture colliding with the old world music industry.
Absolutely.
But understanding their 5-album strategy leaves us with a rather profound question about the media we interact with every day.
I love ending on a paradigm shift. What should we be asking ourselves?
Well, if an artist can map out a 5-album arc before the public has ever even heard their name, and then successfully engineer the exact viral moments needed to execute that plan,
Yeah.
are we actually consuming their music, or are we simply cast members in a carefully scripted, multi-year piece of performance art?
Oh, wow. When a creator treats the algorithms and human attention as their primary instruments, how much of what we perceive as organic virality on the internet is actually a meticulously designed trap? A meticulously designed trap. Did we choose to discover them, or did their design actively hack our curiosity?
That's the real question.
That is absolutely something to mull over the next time you find yourself falling down a viral rabbit hole, convinced you just stumbled upon something completely organically. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the media you consume, keep looking for the hidden tracks, and we will catch you next time.